What is up, YouTube? Welcome to the video. It's a gloomy Friday out, but we're about to rip some sprints. Got a training day for you. So start here at the field. It's already like noon, so it's a little later. We're gonna rip some sprints, get my speed training in, and then in a couple hours go hit a pull day. So one thing I'm changing with my training, I talked about in my last video, doing that legs push-pull split. For the last 8 years, I've sprinted and done legs on the same day, but all I'm just doing my sprints on my pull day now. And I'm gonna see how that feels. I think it'll work out well because I kind of that ebb and flow throughout the week. I'm actually really excited for the small little changes. Still hitting everything, still getting my 6 lifts in, 2 sprints, conditioning, that's the beauty thing, just manipulate small little variables that make sense. But we'll get ripping. It is gloomy, man. It was super nice a couple days ago, but at least it's not too cold. It's like 50s, so can't complain. Grass feels good. Let's get sprinting. All right, gonna run through and I'll have a video overlay, a little 2-in-1 right here of my sprint training. So always warm up with dynamic warm-ups, usually hamstring scoops, reverse lunges, forward lunges, lateral lunges, all kind of basic stuff to just get moving for 10 yards each. And then I get into, I didn't video, but dribbles. So dribbles, kind of hard to explain, but there's great videos of track people doing it. Probably best I didn't do them, show a video of it because mine are pretty ugly, but essentially you're just working on like the cycling, kind of warm up the legs. I'll do 2 of those over the course of 30 yards where it goes small, medium, large. And then I do the triple switches, as you see, 1, 2, 3, stick, 1, 2, 3, stick, 1, 2, 3, stick. I do 2 sets up there, 10 yards, walk back, another set of 10, and I do a single switch with a skip. So now I'm switching, but I'm skipping in between, do 2 of those, walk back recovery, and then straight leg build-ups. These are one of my favorites. So 30 yards, first 10 nice and small, second 10, build it up a little bit, third 10 nice and big. So really warm up the hamstrings. So obviously the warm-up, really want to get the hip flexors warmed up, the hamstrings warmed up, primed, ready to go. And then I did about 2 kind of warm-up sprints, like 80%, just kind of getting a feel for sprinting, but nothing all out. And then I got in the main speed work. So doing acceleration work today. So kind of between like that 10 and 30 yards today. I did 4 15s, really focused on staying low, driving out, 420s, same thing. And then I did 3 30s. So obviously with sprint training, that's 230 total yards. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if you haven't done speed training, that's what it is. So sprinting is all about max outputs followed by long recoveries. So after 15 yards, I'm resting 90 seconds. After 20, 2 minutes. After 30, 3 minutes. So for every 10 yards of sprint, you usually want to rest at least a minute. So those are general guidelines. But remember, output, output, output. It's not conditioning work. Not here to break a sweat. You got to see it the same way as if you're like a power lifter, Olympic lifter. You're doing a max output and then you're resting so you're able to do it again. So making sure you get high quality there. I like to aim for like 200 to 250 total yards in a session. So for example, that was 230 yards, but if you did 10 20s, there's 200 yards right there. So you kind of play around with it. All right, fellas, just got back. I've been whipping these up like crazy. Salmon tacos, it's literally just tortillas, salmon. I put pico, cabbage, and then this creamy salsa on there. It's like 68.3 ounces of salmon, so it's 65 grams of protein right here, under 800 calories. It is so good. When you got a meal you like, you gotta hammer it. So plan is eat this now and then head to the gym in like an hour and a half, hour, 2 hours in that time frame, and then get ripping for a nice deadlifts and then a good back day. I'm super excited. Should be a fun session. It's looking pretty good with the food. Obviously with like food, like in training, you don't want to eat huge meals where you're like super groggy because it can make you tired, especially before you lift. But, it's also kind of dependent on you. You know kind of what foods you can tolerate before you eat. But generally like carbs, protein, minimal fats is kind of what you want if you're about to train. So like right before I sprinted, I was starving, but I just had some yogurt and honey and like granola. So like minimal fats. This one might be a little heavier, so I'll probably wait a little longer. But again, food is fuel. You need it to perform, and that's why it's important. All right, been about an hour. About to head over to the gym, but getting the pre-workout ready. So got here, I just went with the pump product, 2 scoops of that, and the pump squared. Stack those 2 together to get a big pump because I'm gonna drink an energy drink for caffeine. So that's a non-stim one, has no caffeine in it, but it's because I wanna have an energy drink. So I'm gonna have one of these rings as well, 30 milligrams caffeine. Super good stuff right here. These give you great pumps, and that's what I want on a nice back day. Also, I'll have this as I work out. Just got these. These have been delicious. Talked about them a lot, but they are very, very good. and something to sip on while I work out, which I like having like a fluid, because a lot of times when I lift, I like don't drink anything. I just forget to like drink water unless I'm sweating a ton. And so that's kind of nice to like have some flavor after the pre-workout. Obviously, you can always use code Dylan to save. Appreciate you guys. But let's get ripping. Let's go have a good back day. Let's pull some heavy weight.
the night.
What's up? We're gonna go over now training splits. So bear with me. It's a whiteboard. I'm trying to have a cool backdrop for it because, you know, if I were watching this video, I'd probably zone out and I'd want to look around. But the lighting wasn't too good, cool. But there's a pool behind me, so it looks kind of cool. But anyways, we'll get into the training splits and kind of what I look for. And I think this could help you if you're, you know, having trouble writing out your own training split. Because I've always written out my own because I just love researching it and doing all that small stuff. I think it's fun to me. I've brought programs in the past that are great and I kind of take elements, but I love the process of writing my own plans. Sometimes it's frustrating, but it's always fun putting it together. So these are kind of the pieces I use to put my training split together. First thing first, there's no perfect split. You know, if anyone tells you, oh, this is the perfect split, they're wrong because there's a million factors you got to take into account. Like how many hours a week do you have to train? What's your training experience? What's your gym setup? You know, do you have any past injuries? There's so many things you have to take into mind in order to make your perfect split. So that's why the best split is the one you can stick to and progress with, whether that's 3 full body lifts a week, whether that's 4 upper lower, whether that's 6 times a week, whatever you can stick to routinely on a week to week, where it's not like you're getting 3 lifts in 1 week, 1 the next, 6 the next, you know, something you can stick to that's manageable, but it's also causing progress. You know, progress is obviously the most important thing. And then the biggest thing is like, you don't have to overcomplicate it. I'm guilty of this sometimes. I'm like, oh, I gotta put these complex movements in. If it works, it works. If something is going well, don't change it out. You know, a good training split, it gets boring because it's repetitive. You're just doing the same thing week after week after week. It's the splits that you just constantly change is where you stop seeing progress. It's the ones that you stick to, you know, even when it's boring and you just make those micro 5-pound increases. That's where the magic is. That's what no one wants to do. You know, it's the boring stuff. That's what moves the damn needle. So that's the take into account with training splits. Now, to go into training splits, one thing I like to always do, I like a split that hits the muscles twice a week. Obviously, when you hit your muscle, you increase protein synthesis. It's elevated for about 24 to 36 hours after. So if you're only hit a muscle one time a week, you know, then you only have 24 to 36 hours out of the 172 that muscle is elevated. Now you hit it twice a week. Now you go from 24 to 36 to 48 to 72. So you increase the protein synthesis, and that's where you build the muscle. So I like hitting it at least twice a week. Now the total volumes kind of depend on you. Like volume fluctuates. Some people give recommendations of like 10 to 20 sets per muscle, but it's also depends on your intensity. You know, if you're going balls to wall till failure, you can probably do 5 sets. So it's kind of a range, like 5 to 20. It's kind of based on volume and intensity, which we will get into. So volume versus intensity, and kind of how I like splitting up my training. Now, I'm someone, I like doing a lot of volume and a lot of intensity, but typically how I organize my training is I'll do 3 to 4 weeks of an accumulation phase. What accumulation phase is, that just means a higher volume, meaning you're doing a higher rep, maybe like that 5 to 10 rep range, and a little lower intensity. You're not doing as many, like you're not doing heavy singles, doubles, triples, very neurologically demanding. And then an intensification block I would do after that for 3 to 4 weeks, where it's like maybe we're now in like that 1 to 6 range. We're getting those heavier weights, more psychologically, less volume, and it's more about accumulating and getting stronger and building that up. So I like ebbing and flowing between that, and that's called undulating periodization. So undulating periodization, you go say 3 to 4 weeks of a accumulation phase where higher volume, lower intensity, and then 3 to 4 weeks of intensification phase, higher intensity, lower volume, and then you just rotate through that accumulation, intensify, accumulate, intensify, accumulate, intensify, and that's how you structure your training. One really good thing about that is you constantly you're not spending too long in one period, so you're not going to lose the gains from the period before. So if you spend all this time in like a strength block and you're in that for 12 weeks, then you start to lose your gains from the hypertrophy block. And that's what linear periodization is. So linear periodization is just like, I would do 4 weeks hypertrophy, then 4 weeks of strength, then 4 weeks of power. By the time you get to the power work, you're probably losing that hypertrophy. So we're all about strength and size, so we want to make sure we're emphasizing both throughout as we're doing it. So I like going back and forth between that and accumulate, intensify. Christian Thibodeau is a great resource to look into. Just type in Christian Thibodeau, undulating periodization. He has a million different rep schemes you can look at. He's very well written articles, way smarter than me. This is essentially how I base my training off, is a lot of the stuff he says. So look into him if you're interested in more research behind that. But I'll just go into a couple of my favorite accumulation methods. So right now, for example, I started a new block. I'm in accumulation. So I'm kind of in that for my main lifts, like my squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, pull up, rows, lunges, all the good stuff. I'm kind of in like that 5 to 10 rep range in a couple methods, and that's kind of where you'd want to be, like 5 to 10, maybe 6 to 10 rep range. You're kind of getting a little higher volume, accumulating more reps at a lower percentage. And the good thing, you can do a ton of different loading schemes. So wave load's a very popular one. If you've done it before, it's super fun. So essentially going like instead of 8, instead of 6, instead of 5, and then you go back to that 8, 6, 5, and you're trying to go at heavier weight. So there's a million ways to do wave loading. You know, you go 10, 8, 6, 10, 8, 6, 8, 6, 4, 8, 6, 4, 7, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3, 6, 4, 2, 6, 4, 2. You get the gist. There are a million ways to do it, but it's really good because it kind of potentiates your body by doing those earlier sets. So when you go back to that weight, you go a little heavier. So those are a good one to use. An accumulation block, you probably want to stick within like that 5 to 10 range. Another one I like to do, like the magic of 24 reps. So 24 reps, you know, 3 sets of 8, 4 sets of 6, you know, kind of accumulating volume of that. And straight sets. Straight sets are awesome, you know, sets of in that 8 to 10 range, sets in that 6 to 8 range, 6s, 8s, 5s, you know, 4 by 8, 3 by 8, 5 by 6. Those are great methods to use to kind of accumulate some volume. And then I love using like ascending, descending pyramids. So ascending, start with your heaviest sets first, and then you increase the reps, decrease the weight. So for example, you go set of 6, set of 8, set of 10, set of 12. Obviously you can go down in weight, up in reps, or you do the other way. Descending pyramids are always great too, where you go 12, 10, 8, 6, you're going down in weight, or sorry, down in reps as you're going up in weight. That's another great method to use. Now those methods you can obviously use for intensification period too. It's just intensification. Now we're in like that 1 to 6 range, somewhere around there. Now maybe your weight loading is like a 6-4-2, 6-4-2, or 5-3-1, 5-3-1. One thing I've been experimenting with is doing more like top sets and back off sets. So maybe you work up to a top set of 2 to 4 reps, and then you do 3 back off sets in like that 4 to 6 range, something like that. Where you're getting like that really heavy work, and then you're getting accumulating some volume. with those back out sets. So that's a great thing to do. And then obviously you do like ascending, descending pyramids. Maybe start on the ascending, you go like 2, 4, 6, 8, where you're increasing the reps. Descending, maybe you're going like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's a popular one to use. You know, you're going down in reps, but up in weight. It's kind of neurologically demanding on it. But one big thing, you know, we're focused on strength and size. So I say spend the majority of your time, like especially in your compounds like that. I say 4 to 8, maybe like that 3 to 8 range. You know, kind of accumulating some good volume there with heavy loads. And then one big thing, RER, reps in reserve. So how close you are getting to failure. So for example, if you do a set, you get 8 reps, you fail in the 8 reps, that's 0 reps in reserve. Now if you did a set of 8, but you had 2 extra reps in there, you could have done a set of 10, then you're leaving 2 reps in the tank. And that's something, the closer you get to failure, the better. So there's like the effective reps model where it's like the last 4 to 6 reps. So say the last 5 reps to a failure are like the most effective. So again, if you did a set of 8, you went to a failure, those last 5 reps would be the most effective. Whereas if you did a set of 8, but you could have got 10, you have 2 in the tank, then you only have 3 effective reps, if that makes sense. So training with a high intensity is obviously very important, especially for those like compound lifts, accessory lifts, where you can really push yourself because you know you get closer to failure, you don't have to do as much volume, and you can just ramp up the intensity and go to town on that. So that is RER, and then this is kind of like an example progression. So this is for my new split. It's just very simple. Look, week 1, 4 by 2 sets of 10, 2 sets of 8. Week 2, 4 by 8. Week 3, 8, 8, 6, 6. Week 4, 4 by 6. So the first 4 weeks we're in like that 6 to 10 range. We're just bringing down reps and going up in bulk power. Bringing down the reps, going up in intensity with the weight. As we go down, then weeks 5 through 8, we get into intensification phase. And now we're like kind of spending most of our time that 4 to 6. We go 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 5 by 5, 5 by 4 for 4, and then a 5 by 4. So we're kind of spending that time. So that's just a way to show where maybe it's a little higher rep there, and maybe you increase the sets, a little less reps, but you're getting a higher intensity there. And then this is kind of what I'm doing now, this top set. So first 4 weeks I'm doing the top set of 5, and then back off sets like 3 by 8 and then 3 by 7. I'm just trying to go up 5 pounds each week. And then the last 4 weeks when I'm more in the intensification phase, 4s, 3s, and then 6s and 5s is back off. So kind of example, there's a freaking million ways to do it. There's not one way to do it. There's a million ways to do it. I think just take the common themes of like that 5 to 10 range, that 1 to 6, and undulate back and forth between the two so you get the best of both worlds. And then kind of some of the splits I've run in the past. Again, there's no perfect split. Find what works for you, whether that's an upper, lower, but it's full body, what's the push-pull legs. I've done them all, but a couple of my programs I have, like the Power Jack plan, super fun plan. This one I did like a lower upper pump. So essentially it's a full lower body session, a full upper body session, and then the pump work is like shoulders, arms, abs. So like on that upper day, it's mostly you're hitting all your compounds, chest, back, shoulders, you're hitting your main benches, overhead press, all that stuff. Then you get the pump work in there. That's a super fun structure to do. My jack split, for example, we do it lower, upper, off, lower, chest, back, shoulders, arms. So you're hitting everything twice a week. You're getting kind of your main strength lower and upper early in the week, you do your rest day, and then more of your hypertrophy lower, and then you kind of do a little Arnold split with the chest, back, shoulders, arms. And then my new split, pop the top, which is a summer one. This is a lower push-pull off, lower upper. This one's kind of like that, but it flip-flops. Now we can really emphasize our lower strength, our push strength, our pull strength, then we get off day, and then we just get some hypertrophy with lower upper, hit everything twice. So that's one way to do it. And then my current split, if you can see at the bottom, I'm doing a legs push-pull off, legs push-pull. I've always done legs push-pull off, but I'm not doing an 8-day split. That's another thing. A split doesn't just have to be 7 days, you know. Your body doesn't know the difference between a week, whatever a week is. So I'm starting to take a rest day on the 4th day. As of today, it's gonna be the first time doing it. It's gonna be mentally hard, but I'm excited for it. And then obviously I like implementing cardio and sprints. So that's another thing you can throw on. I'm doing lower, and then I'll do abs later in the day that day, and push, and then some cardio later in the day, and then I'll do my sprint work with my pull day. So that's another thing you do if you want to throw in sprints. Generally, on a lower body day works either the day before legs, the day of legs, or 2 days after would be best. Cardio, you know, if it's lower intensity, you can kind of throw in anywhere. Now, obviously, with our goal kind of in strength and size, unless you're in a huge cut, I recommend doing cardio after because you want to be freshest for your lifts, and that's most important. So that's kind of just a little rundown of training splits. I don't know how long this video is, it might be a little longer, but take elements of it. I really want to emphasize these top points, like everyone asks for the perfect split and this, and sometimes I think there's such a thing, but you know, there's a million factors. If you're a dad, you have 3 kids, you can only train for an hour, 4 days a week, you can make sick gains, you know? But if you're like me and, you know, I don't have any real life responsibilities, I have more time to train, you know? It's splits that work, that you can stick to, that you believe in. I think that's such an underrated thing. I think nowadays there's this optimal side of things and people ignore. Probably the most important part of training to me is the mental side effects. If you like spending more time at the gym, hell, do it. If you like being in and out of the gym, then hell, do it. It's just making sure you're training hard. And then number one thing, just track your progress. Whatever it is, maybe you're really into your main compound lifts and you track that. Find something you can track. It doesn't have to be every single variable. Maybe use an app to track it. I like using a logbook, just writing it down, having it in my gym bag with me so you can look back on it. But I think tracking progress can really help you with your gains and making sure you're progressing, and then just stick to it. If it's working, if you're getting stronger, but you're getting bored, just stick to it, please. Boredom is good. If you're getting bored by it, but you're progressing, that's good. Now, if you're getting bored and you're plateauing, maybe you change things up, but that's kind of the gist of it. So we'll leave it there for the split talk. Wow, I just looked at those 13 minutes of me yapping about it. So I hope you made it this far. I hope there's some useful information in there. That's obviously the whole goal of this channel. Is like I just take, you know, the elements I've learned in my own training, what I've learned through experience working with others and learning from others. And like I love this stuff, so I research it all the time and look into it. And I want to try to relay that to you and try to simplify it so it makes sense. So hopefully that can help. You can take those elements. Obviously, I do offer training plans. If you are interested, link's always in the bio. If not, you know, do what I do. Write out your own splits, have fun with it, take elements from other people, you know, find people you really like on Instagram, YouTube, see how the way they train, see how the way they kind of do their sets and reps and everything, and take elements of it. That's how I've always done it. You know, I didn't have money to buy training plans for forever, so I would just write out my own splits, or I'd get free copies of people and then try to like piece stuff together. So, you know, if you want a split and you can afford it, I got some in the bio, but again, there's so much value in like kind of learning yourself and experiment with stuff, because that's all it is. At the end of the day, there's no perfect routine, there's no perfect split, and that's what makes training so fun, because if there was a perfect way to do it, everyone would do it and you get so bored of it. No, the small little variables you can fluctuate day in and day out is what makes us come back and keep on doing it. So I will leave it here. I appreciate everyone watching. As always, you guys are goated. If you could like, comment, subscribe, really try to grow this channel. I love churning out this content, but I'll see you in the next one. Peace.